7 toxic people you must avoid in old age. When was the last time you thought about the people in your life and the impact they have on your happiness? You see, as we grow older, relationships take on a whole new meaning. They're no longer just about passing the time or having someone to hang out with. They become critical to our emotional health, our mental well-being, and even our physical survival. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone in your life is good for you. Now, I know that might sound harsh, but think about it. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained, like all your energy was sucked out of you? Or maybe you've spent hours replaying someone's hurtful comments in your head, questioning if you're the problem. Trust me, you're not alone. We've all been there. But as we get older, those moments start to matter even more. Here's the thing. They say old age is supposed to be your golden years, a time for peace, joy, and reflection. And while that's true, it's also the stage of life when you've got to be fiercely protective of your happiness. You don't have time for unnecessary drama, negativity, or toxic behavior anymore. Not at this point in your life. And honestly, you shouldn't have to put up with it. The reality is this: the people you allow into your life during your later years have the power to either enrich your days or drain them. Some people will lift you up, make you laugh, and remind you of the beauty in life. But then, there are those who will chip away at your peace, piece by piece, without you even realizing it until it's too late. That's exactly what we're here to talk about today. The 7 types of people you absolutely must avoid as you grow older. Why? Because protecting your peace is not just important, it's essential. Your well-being should be your priority, and the sooner you recognize who adds value to your life and who doesn't, the better off you'll be. Now, I'm not saying this to scare you or make you paranoid about every relationship in your life. My goal is to help you take an honest look at the people around you, your friends, your family, even your acquaintances, and ask yourself one simple question: are these people making my life better or worse? So, in this video, we're going to dive deep into the 7 types of people you need to be careful about, from the ones who drain your energy to the ones who bring negativity wherever they go. I'll show you how to spot them, why they're dangerous, and how to create boundaries that protect your joy and peace of mind. Let me tell you something important before we move forward. Cutting ties with toxic people doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who values their own happiness and well-being. It makes you someone who refuses to let anyone disrupt the peace you've worked so hard to build. And that, my friend, is one of the most empowering choices you'll ever make. So, grab a cup of tea or coffee, get comfortable, and stick around. Let's get into it, because your happiness is worth fighting for, and it all starts with learning who to let go of. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Type 1, the constant critic. Let's dive right in with the first type of person you need to avoid in old age: the constant critic. You probably know exactly who I'm talking about. This is the person who always has something negative to say about you, whether it's your choices, your habits, your personality, or even the way you look. Nothing you do is ever good enough for them, and no matter how hard you try to avoid their judgment, they always find a way to make their opinions known. Here's the thing: criticism, when it's constructive, can be helpful. A friend or family member who genuinely cares about you might occasionally point out something you need to improve, and that's fine. But the constant critic is a completely different story. This person isn't trying to help you grow. They're trying to tear you down. How the constant critic affects you. The damage caused by this type of person can be subtle, but over time, it adds up. Imagine hearing phrases like, "Are you sure you should be wearing that at your age? You're spending too much money on that. You're going to regret it. Why are you always making bad decisions?" At first, you might brush these comments off, but after hearing them again and again, you start to internalize them. You might begin to doubt yourself, question your decisions, and even feel like you're not good enough. And as you grow older, that kind of negativity can weigh on you in ways you didn't expect. In old age, we're supposed to feel proud of the life we've lived and confident in the person we've become. But the constant critic has a way of undermining that pride. They make you question your worth, which can lead to stress, anxiety, and even depression. Signs: you're dealing with a constant critic. So how do you spot this type of person in your life? Here are a few telltale signs. 1. They never miss an opportunity to point out your flaws. Whether it's your cooking, your decisions, or even the way you walk, they'll find something to criticize. 2. They disguise their criticism as helpful advice. They'll say things like, "I'm just telling you this for your own good," but it never actually feels helpful. 3. They make you feel small. Instead of uplifting you, their words leave you feeling unworthy or incapable. 4. They're never satisfied with what you do. Even if you try to meet their expectations, they'll find something else to pick apart. Why you need to avoid them in old age. Here's the truth. As you grow older, your time and energy are more valuable than ever. You don't have the luxury of spending your golden years worrying about what someone else thinks of you. You deserve to feel at peace with yourself. But the constant critic makes that impossible. Being around someone who constantly puts you down can affect your mental health, your confidence, and even your physical health. Stress and negativity are known to take a toll on the body. And the older we get, the harder it becomes to bounce back from that kind of emotional damage. How to handle a constant critic. So, what can you do if you have someone like this in your life? 1. Set boundaries. The next time they start criticizing you, politely but firmly let them know it's not okay. For example, you can say, "I appreciate your opinion, but I don't think it's helpful for me to hear that right now." 2. Limit your time with them. If setting boundaries doesn't work, start reducing how often you interact with them. Your peace is more important than their opinions. 3. Focus on positive relationships. Surround yourself with people who celebrate you for who you are. The more time you spend with uplifting individuals, the less power the constant critic will have over you. 4. Remind yourself of your worth. It's easy to let criticism make you feel small, but don't forget all the amazing things you've accomplished in your life. Keep reminding yourself of your value, and don't let anyone take that away from you. The constant critic might think they're helping you, but in reality, they're holding you back from fully enjoying your life. Don't let their negativity define your happiness. Type 2, the negative naysayer. Now let's move on to the second type of person you need to avoid. The negative naysayer. You've met them before, haven't you? This is the person who always sees the worst in everything. No matter how exciting, positive, or hopeful a situation might be, they'll find a way to bring it down. You share good news, and their response? Well, don't get too excited. Things could still go wrong. You tell them about a plan or a goal, and they immediately list all the reasons it won't work. They're not just pessimistic, they're actively discouraging, and that can take a toll on you over time. The impact of negativity in old age. Negativity is like a virus. It spreads quickly, and it's hard to shake off. Being around someone who's constantly negative can have serious consequences, especially as you grow older. Here's how. 1. It drains your energy. Negative people have a way of sucking the life out of you. You walk away from conversations feeling exhausted, frustrated, and maybe even a little hopeless. 2. It affects your outlook on life. Even if you're naturally optimistic, spending too much time with a negative naysayer can start to wear you down. You might find yourself focusing more on problems than solutions, or doubting your ability to achieve your goals. 3. It creates unnecessary stress. Constant negativity can make you feel like you're walking on eggshells. You might even start avoiding certain topics just to keep the peace. And the worst part? Negativity is contagious. If you're not careful, you might find yourself adopting some of their pessimistic habits without even realizing it. How to recognize a negative naysayer. So how do you know if someone in your life falls into this category? Here are a few common traits. They're quick to criticize. Any idea, plan, or goal you share is met with doubt or discouragement. They focus on problems, not solutions. Instead of helping you figure out how to overcome a challenge, they dwell on everything that could go wrong. They refuse to celebrate your successes. Instead of being happy for you, they downplay your achievements or point out the flaws. They thrive on doom and gloom. Whether it's the news, the weather, or a small inconvenience, they always seem to have something negative to say. Why you need to avoid them. Negativity is like quicksand. The more time you spend around it, the harder it becomes to pull yourself out. And in old age, when you should be focusing on joy, relaxation, and fulfillment, the last thing you need is someone dragging you down. Spending time with a negative naysayer can rob you of your motivation and your peace of mind. You've worked too hard and come too far in life to let someone else's pessimism hold you back. How to deal with a negative naysayer. 1. Redirect the conversation. When they start focusing on the negative, gently steer the conversation toward something more positive. For example, if they're complaining about the weather, you could say, "True, but at least it's a great day to stay inside and relax." 2. Challenge their negativity. Sometimes, simply asking, "Why do you feel that way?" can encourage them to rethink their perspective. 3. Limit your exposure. If their negativity becomes too overwhelming, it's okay to take a step back. Your mental health is more important than maintaining constant contact with someone who brings you down. 4. Focus on positivity. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. The more time you spend with optimistic individuals, the less room there is for negativity in your life. Remember, you can't control how someone else views the world, but you can control how much influence they have over your life. Don't let the negative naysayer dim your light. You deserve to feel happy and hopeful every single day. Stay tuned, because up next, we're going to talk about another dangerous personality type, the energy vampire. Let's keep going. Type 3, the energy vampire. All right, let's talk about the energy vampire, the third type of person you absolutely need to avoid as you grow older. These people are exhausting to be around, not physically, but emotionally and mentally. They drain the life out of you with their endless complaints, drama, or neediness. After spending time with them, you often feel completely depleted, like you've run a marathon without moving a single step. Here's the thing about energy vampires. They rarely realize they're doing it. In fact, many of them aren't bad people. They're just emotionally demanding. But even if their intentions aren't harmful, the effect they have on your well-being can be devastating. How energy vampires drain you. Imagine this scenario. You're having a good day, feeling relaxed and content. Then you get a call from a friend who spends the next hour complaining about their life, their job, their family, basically everything. You listen, offer advice, and try to help, but nothing seems to make a difference. By the time the call ends, you're completely drained. That's the hallmark of an energy vampire. They take, and take, but rarely give anything back. Their constant need for attention, validation, or sympathy can leave you feeling worn out and emotionally burned out. And as you grow older, that kind of exhaustion can take a serious toll on your health. Signs: you're dealing with an energy vampire. So how can you recognize an energy vampire? Here are some common traits. 1. They're always in crisis. Every conversation revolves around their latest problem, and they expect you to drop everything to help. 2. They dominate conversations. You rarely get a chance to share your thoughts or feelings because they're too busy talking about themselves. 3. They never take your advice. No matter how much time you spend trying to help, they seem more interested in complaining than actually solving their problems. 4. They leave you feeling drained. After spending time with them, you feel emotionally exhausted and maybe even a little resentful. 5. They don't reciprocate. When you need support, they're nowhere to be found, or they quickly steer the conversation back to their own issues. Why you need to avoid energy vampires. As we age, our energy becomes a precious resource. You simply don't have the capacity to deal with people who drain you on a regular basis. Spending time with an energy vampire can leave you feeling emotionally depleted, which can affect your mood, your health, and even your relationships with other people. Energy vampires also rob you of the time and space you need to focus on yourself. Instead of spending your golden years pursuing hobbies, spending time with loved ones, or simply relaxing, you end up playing therapist to someone who doesn't seem interested in changing. How to deal with energy vampires. Here's how you can handle this type of person. 1. Set clear boundaries. If they call you at all hours to vent, let them know you're not always available to talk. For example, you can say, "I can only chat for a few minutes today. I have a lot going on." 2. Limit your interactions. If their energy-draining behavior becomes too much, it's okay to create some distance. You don't owe them unlimited access to your time or emotions. 3. Redirect the conversation. When they start complaining, try steering the discussion towards something more positive. For example, you can say, "I hear you're having a tough time, but let's talk about something uplifting. What's something good that happened to you recently?" 4. Focus on self-care. After spending time with an energy vampire, take a moment to recharge. Whether it's a walk, a nap, or a favorite hobby, do something that restores your energy. Remember, you're not responsible for fixing other people's problems. Your emotional well-being comes first, and it's okay to prioritize your own peace over someone else's drama. Type 4. The Manipulator. Next up, let's talk about the manipulator, one of the most dangerous types of people to have in your life, especially in old age. These people are experts at getting what they want, and they're not afraid to use guilt, pressure, or deception to do it. Their behavior is subtle, calculated, and often leaves you questioning your own judgment. Here's what makes manipulators so tricky. They don't always come across as bad or mean-spirited. In fact, many of them are incredibly charming. They'll say all the right things and make you feel important, but underneath the surface, their actions are entirely self-serving. How manipulators work. Manipulators use a variety of tactics to control and influence you. Some of the most common include 1. Guilt tripping. They'll make you feel bad for saying no or standing up for yourself. For example, they might say, "I can't believe you'd do this to me after everything I've done for you." 2. Excessive flattery. They'll butter you up with compliments to lower your defenses, only to ask for something in return later. 3. Playing the victim. They'll act like they're helpless, or that the world is against them to make you feel obligated to help. 4. Gaslighting. This is when they make you doubt your own feelings or memories. For example, they might say, "I never said that. You're imagining things." The impact of manipulators in old age. Manipulators are especially harmful as you grow older because they often prey on vulnerabilities like loneliness, guilt, or a desire to feel needed. They might exploit your kindness or use your sense of loyalty to get what they want, whether it's money, time, or emotional support. Over time, being around a manipulator can leave you feeling used, drained, and even resentful. They don't just take from you, they make you doubt your own instincts and decisions, which can be incredibly disempowering in a stage of life where you should feel confident and secure. How to spot a manipulator. Here are some red flags to watch for. They make you feel obligated. You constantly feel like you owe them something, even when you don't. They twist the truth. They have a way of making their lies or half-truths sound believable. They never take responsibility. Everything is always someone else's fault, and they rarely apologize. They push your boundaries. No matter how many times you say no, they keep pushing until they get what they want. How to handle a manipulator. Dealing with a manipulator requires a firm hand and a clear sense of your own boundaries. Here's what you can do. 1. Recognize their tactics. The first step is understanding how they operate. Once you see their patterns, it becomes easier to resist their influence. 2. Stand your ground. When they try to guilt trip or pressure you, don't back down. Respond calmly but firmly with statements like, "I understand how you feel, but I'm not able to help with that." 3. Limit your vulnerabilities. Be cautious about sharing too much personal information with them. The less they know about your weaknesses, the less they can exploit them. 4. Walk away if necessary. If their behavior becomes too toxic, it's okay to cut ties. Your peace of mind is more important than maintaining a relationship with someone who manipulates you. Remember, manipulators thrive on control. The moment you take back your power and stop playing their game, they lose their grip on you. You deserve relationships that are built on trust, respect, and mutual support, not manipulation. Type 5. The envious underminer. Now let's talk about a type of person who can be much more subtle, but just as damaging. The envious underminer. This is someone who can't stand to see you succeed, be happy, or enjoy any aspect of your life without feeling jealous. And instead of simply being envious from a distance, they act on those feelings, whether intentionally or unintentionally, by trying to bring you down. Envy is a tricky thing to deal with, especially in relationships. It's one of those emotions that people rarely admit to feeling, but their actions often speak louder than their words. An envious underminer might pretend to be happy for you, but their behavior tells a different story. They might make sly remarks, downplay your achievements, or subtly sabotage your efforts to feel good about yourself. How the envious underminer affects you. Here's the thing about envy. It rarely stays hidden for long. Over time, it reveals itself in little ways, through a comment here, a slight there, or a lack of support when you need it most. And while their actions might seem small at first, the cumulative effect can be huge. For example, let's say you've started a new hobby or project that brings you joy. The envious underminer might say something like, "I don't know why you're bothering with that. It seems like a waste of time." Or, "You're pretty good at this, but don't you think you're getting too old to keep up?" Their words might seem harmless on the surface, but deep down, they plant seeds of doubt. You start questioning yourself, wondering if they're right. And before you know it, their jealousy has turned into your insecurity. Signs you're dealing with an envious underminer. How do you recognize this type of person? Here are some common traits to watch out for. 1. They minimize your accomplishments. When something good happens to you, they're quick to dismiss it or compare it to something they've done. For example, "Oh, you got a promotion." Well, it's not like you had a ton of competition for that position. 2. They subtly criticize your happiness. If you're in a good mood or celebrating a win, they find a way to bring you back down to earth. Don't get too comfortable. Things could fall apart any minute. 3. They withhold support. When you need encouragement, they're strangely absent or lukewarm in their responses. 4. They gossip or spread negativity. Behind your back, they might talk about you in ways that undermine your reputation or your confidence. Why you need to avoid them in old age. In your later years, you should be focusing on the things that bring you joy, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing hobbies, or simply enjoying the peace you've earned after a lifetime of hard work. The envious underminer, however, makes it hard to enjoy those moments. Their jealousy creates unnecessary tension and can rob you of the confidence to fully embrace your passions or accomplishments. Even worse, envy has a way of escalating over time. If left unchecked, it can lead to more overt sabotage or conflict, which is the last thing you need in your golden years. How to handle an envious underminer. So, what can you do if you have someone like this in your life? Here are some steps to protect yourself. 1. Don't engage with their negativity. When they make critical or dismissive comments, avoid getting defensive. Instead, respond calmly or change the subject. 2. Limit what you share with them. If you notice that they tend to react negatively to your successes or happiness, be selective about what you tell them. Not everyone needs to know everything about your life. 3. Surround yourself with supportive people. The best way to counteract an envious underminer is by spending time with people who genuinely celebrate your happiness and achievements. 4. Set firm boundaries. If their behavior becomes too toxic, it's okay to create distance. Let them know, politely but firmly, that their negativity isn't welcome in your life. Remember, envy says more about them than it does about you. It's not your job to manage their insecurities or jealousy. Your happiness is worth protecting no matter what. Type 6. The self-centered individual. Next, let's talk about the self-centered individual. This type of person isn't necessarily toxic in an obvious way, but their behavior can still have a negative impact on your life. They're the ones who believe the world revolves around them, and they prioritize their own needs, feelings, and desires over everyone else's, including yours. The self-centered individual can show up in many forms. They might be a friend who only calls you when they need something, a family member who constantly demands your attention, or even a neighbor who always expects favors but never reciprocates. Regardless of the role they play, the pattern is the same. They take and take, but rarely give. How the self-centered individual affects you. The problem with self-centered people is that they leave very little room for you in the relationship. Conversations are always about them. Plans are always made to suit their schedule, and your feelings are often brushed aside. Over time, this dynamic can make you feel invisible, unimportant, and even resentful. For example, imagine a friend who constantly dominates every conversation. You try to share something about your own life, but before you can finish a sentence, they interrupt with their own story. Or a family member who only calls when they need money, never once asking how you're doing. At first, you might try to justify their behavior thinking, that's just the way they are. But as time goes on, their self-centeredness starts to feel like a burden, one that you shouldn't have to carry. Signs. You're dealing with a self-centered individual. Here are some common signs that someone in your life might fall into this category. 1. They dominate conversations. No matter the topic, they always find a way to make it about themselves. 2. They rarely ask about you. When was the last time they genuinely showed interest in your thoughts, feelings, or experiences? 3. They expect you to prioritize them. Whether it's your time, energy, or resources, they assume you'll drop everything to accommodate their needs. 4. They downplay your feelings. If you try to express how you're feeling, they either dismiss it or turn the conversation back to their own problems. 5. They lack reciprocity. You're always the one giving, whether it's emotional support, time, or favors, but they rarely, if ever, return the effort. Why you need to avoid them in old age. As you grow older, relationships should be a source of comfort, joy, and mutual respect, not one-sided obligations. The self-centered individual, however, turns every interaction into a chore. They expect you to cater to their needs while offering little to nothing in return, which can leave you feeling drained and unappreciated. In old age, your time and energy are precious. You've earned the right to prioritize your own happiness, and that means letting go of people who only see you as a means to an end. How to handle a self-centered individual. Here's how to deal with this type of person. 1. Set boundaries. Let them know what you're willing and unwilling to do. For example, you can say, "I'd love to help you, but I need to focus on myself right now." 2. Don't overextend yourself. It's okay to say no to their demands, especially if fulfilling them would come at the expense of your own well-being. 3. Focus on reciprocal relationships. Invest your time and energy in people who value you as much as you value them. 4. Address the behavior, if you feel comfortable. If their self-centeredness is affecting your relationship, have an honest conversation about how their actions make you feel. Ultimately, you deserve relationships that are built on mutual care and respect. Don't let someone else's selfishness take away from the joy and peace you've worked so hard to create in your life. Type 7. The toxic family member. This brings us to the final type of person you need to avoid in old age, the toxic family member. And let me just say this up front. This one can be the hardest to recognize, accept, and address. Why? Because we're often taught that family is sacred, that we should stick together no matter what, and that walking away from a family member makes us selfish. But let me tell you something. Toxic behavior is toxic behavior, no matter who it's coming from, even if it's your own blood. Toxic family members can take many forms. It might be a sibling who constantly criticizes you, a child who manipulates you into giving more than you can, or a cousin who stirs up drama every time they're around. The worst part is that family ties can make it harder to set boundaries with these individuals, leaving you feeling trapped in a relationship that's draining your energy and happiness. How toxic family members affect you. Family relationships have a unique emotional weight. Unlike friendships or acquaintanceships, we often feel an added layer of responsibility and obligation when it comes to family. But when a family member is toxic, that sense of duty can lead to emotional exhaustion, resentment, and even guilt. For example, a toxic family member might constantly criticize you or make hurtful comments, disguised as honesty or tough love, manipulate you by using guilt trips or emotional blackmail to get what they want. If you really loved me, you'd do this for me. Stir up unnecessary drama that leaves you feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Disrespect your boundaries by refusing to take no for an answer. These behaviors can leave you feeling frustrated, helpless, and drained. And because it's coming from family, you might feel guilty for even considering creating distance between yourself and the person who's causing the harm. Signs of a toxic family member. Here are some clear signs you're dealing with a toxic family member. 1. They use guilt to control you. Every interaction leaves you feeling like you're not doing enough for them, even when you've gone above and beyond. 2. They never respect your boundaries. Whether it's dropping by unannounced, calling you at odd hours, or pressuring you to do things you're not comfortable with, they don't take no seriously. 3. They're consistently negative or critical. Instead of uplifting you, they bring negativity into your life with their constant complaints, criticisms, or drama. 4. They drain your energy. After spending time with them, you feel exhausted, stressed, or emotionally depleted. 5. They act entitled. They expect you to prioritize their needs over your own, without ever considering your feelings or limitations. Why you need to avoid toxic family members. Let's be honest, cutting ties or setting boundaries with family is not easy. There's a level of emotional complexity that makes it difficult to take that step. But here's the truth. Your peace of mind should never come second to someone else's toxic behavior, even if they're family. As you grow older, you deserve to spend your time surrounded by people who love, support, and respect you. Toxic family members, on the other hand, can prevent you from fully enjoying this stage of your life. Their behavior can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even physical health issues, all of which are completely avoidable if you're willing to take action. How to handle toxic family members. So, what can you do when a family member is toxic? Here are some practical steps. 1. Set clear boundaries. Let them know what behaviors you will and won't tolerate. For example, I won't engage in conversations where you criticize me. If it continues, I'll have to leave. 2. Limit contact. If their behavior doesn't change, reduce the amount of time you spend with them. It's okay to prioritize your well-being over family obligations. 3. Don't engage in drama. Toxic family members often thrive on conflict. Refuse to get dragged into arguments or unnecessary drama. 4. Seek support. Talk to a trusted friend, therapist, or support group about your experience. They can help you navigate the emotional challenges of dealing with a toxic family member. 5. Consider cutting ties, if necessary. If the relationship is causing more harm than good, it's okay to distance yourself. Remember, walking away doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who values their own peace and happiness. Letting go of a toxic family member is never an easy decision, but sometimes it's the only way to protect your emotional and mental health. You deserve to live the rest of your life free from unnecessary stress and negativity. Conclusion: choosing peace over toxic people. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a powerful truth. The people you allow into your life have a direct impact on your happiness, health, and overall quality of life. The 7 types of people we've talked about today: the constant critic, the negative naysayer, the energy vampire, the manipulator, the envious underminer, the self-centered individual, and the toxic family member, are all obstacles to your peace and joy. And here's the good news: you have the power to remove those obstacles. Old age is often called the golden years for a reason. It's a time to celebrate everything you've achieved, to relax and enjoy the fruits of your hard work, and to focus on the things that truly matter. But you can't fully embrace this stage of life if you're surrounded by people who drain you, hurt you, or hold you back. So, here's my challenge to you. Take an honest look at the people in your life. Ask yourself, are these relationships helping me or hurting me? Are they bringing me joy or stress? Are they lifting me up or pulling me down? And if the answer isn't what you'd like it to be, remember that it's never too late to make a change. Cutting ties with toxic people, whether they're friends, acquaintances, or even family, doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who values their own well-being. It makes you someone who's brave enough to protect their peace. And that, my friend, is one of the most empowering decisions you can ever make. As you move forward, focus on building relationships with people who truly care about you. Those who celebrate your wins, support you through challenges, and make your days brighter just by being in your life. Surround yourself with positivity, kindness, and love, and watch how your life transforms. Remember, the quality of your relationships defines the quality of your life. Choose wisely, and don't be afraid to walk away from anything or anyone that no longer serves your happiness. You've earned the right to live in peace, so protect it fiercely. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this conversation has given you some clarity, confidence, and inspiration to prioritize your happiness in your golden years. You deserve it. Take care, and don't forget, you are worth every bit of the peace and joy you're seeking. See you in the next one.